Listen carefully, because what happens in the next few moments was designed for you alone. Archangel Michael is speaking directly into the core of your being right now, and you were led here by a hand you could not see. Nothing about this moment is ordinary. Nothing about your arrival here was accidental. The forces of heaven have been quietly steering your steps toward this exact second in time. And today, the veil is about to be torn open. Before you hear another word, understand something crucial. There is a vessel that heaven has been preparing in secret. It was sealed with divine authority long before you drew your first breath. Inside that vessel sits everything that was ever meant to be yours. Provision that has your name engraved upon it. Restoration that was designed specifically for the shape of your wounds. And a breakthrough so massive that your mind cannot yet hold the picture of it. That vessel has been hidden from every enemy, protected from every thief, and guarded by angelic hands through every season of your waiting. And today, the seal is being broken. Do not move from this place. Do not allow a single distraction to pull your attention away from what I am about to reveal. The enemy has fought with everything in his arsenal to keep you from arriving at this moment. He threw confusion at your mind. He sent weariness into your bones. He whispered that nothing would ever shift in your favor and that the waiting was proof of abandonment. But his lies crumbled the instant your spirit opened to receive this word. Because nothing he built can survive in the presence of what I am releasing over your life today. I am Archangel Michael, and I have been entrusted with a message that heaven has held in reserve for this precise season of your journey. Every word you are about to hear carries the weight of the throne room. Every sentence has been forged in holy fire and sent through the corridors of heaven to reach the deepest chamber of your heart. Stay with me, because by the time this message is complete, something inside you will have permanently shifted. The person who walked into this moment will not be the same person who walks out of it. I want you to understand something that your heart has been quietly aching to know. My presence was never withdrawn from you. Not for a single heartbeat. Not during the longest night. Not during the morning when you woke up with that familiar heaviness pressing down on your chest before you could even open your eyes. I was the warmth you felt when the room was cold and everyone else was asleep. I was the inexplicable calm that settled over you in the middle of a storm you thought would tear you apart. Every time you wondered whether heaven could hear you. I was already standing at the threshold of your spirit, closer than the air in your lungs. There were mornings when you knelt in silence because the words would not come. Your lips trembled, but nothing emerged except the weight of exhaustion. You thought those moments were failures, that prayer without eloquence was prayer without power. But I am telling you today that those wordless mornings shook the foundations of the enemy's kingdom more than any sermon ever preached from a marble pulpit. Heaven does not measure the strength of a prayer by its vocabulary. Heaven measures it by the surrender behind it. And your silence was the most powerful surrender I have witnessed in a generation. I heard you in the car when you thought no one was listening. Those words you whispered between stoplights. Those desperate pleas you released between errands that no one around you even noticed. Every single one of them reached my ears before the sound left your mouth. I cataloged them. I held them against my chest like sacred documents. Not one syllable was lost. Not one tear evaporated into nothing. I collected them. And today, those prayers are being answered with a force that will make your knees buckle with gratitude. You asked me once, in the thick darkness of a night you thought might never end, whether I had forgotten your name. You did not speak it aloud, but your spirit groaned it so loudly that every angel in my command turned their heads toward you. Forgotten? My beloved! Your name is carved into the palms of my hands. It is written across the gates of eternity. It echoes through the throne room every time I intercede on your behalf. The God who counts the stars by name has never not for the fraction of a second, misplaced yours. If this message has already touched a place inside your spirit that has been waiting to be seen, if you recognize the voice of heaven speaking directly to you in this moment, then I invite you to place one sacred word in the comments below. Type Amen, and let that single declaration become a stake driven into the ground of your destiny. Let it be the first mark of agreement between your spirit and heaven's decree over your life today. I know the weight you have been carrying. I have watched you shoulder burdens that were never designed for a single human frame. You picked up responsibilities that belonged to others because your heart could not bear to see them struggle. You absorbed the pain of people who never even asked how you were doing. You became the pillar for an entire household, an entire family, an entire circle of souls who leaned on you without understanding the cost. And through all of it, through every sacrifice that went unrecognized and every act of kindness that was met with silence, I was keeping a record that heaven will honor. There were seasons when the loneliness became so thick you could feel it pressing against your skin like a physical weight. You sat in rooms full of people and still felt invisible. You poured yourself out for others until there was nothing left. And then you poured out the nothing too. I watched you give from an empty well and pretend the bucket still had water in it. That kind of love, that relentless, stubborn, bleeding love, is the rarest substance in all of creation. And I promise you today, it was never wasted. Every drop you poured out is being returned to you, multiplied, beyond anything your imagination can construct. The enemy tried to use your generosity as a weapon against you. He whispered that your kindness made you foolish. He pointed to the people who took from you without returning anything and said, "See, even your love is not enough." But he was lying, or he has always been lying. Your love was more than enough. It was a seed planted in ground so holy that the enemy was not even permitted to watch it grow. And what grew from your sacrifice is a harvest that will not only fill your own storehouse, but overflow into the lives of every person you have ever carried in your heart before me. You did not know it at the time, but every moment of faithfulness was being witnessed from the highest throne. When you opened the word with tears still drying on your cheeks, and the print blurred because your eyes had not stopped weeping, I leaned forward. When you chose worship over bitterness, even though bitterness would have been easier and no one would have blamed you for it, the entire heavenly host stood in awe. You did not merely survive your trials, my beloved, you worshipped through them. And that is the difference between someone the enemy can break and someone who makes the enemy tremble. I remember the night you almost gave up, not on life, but on hope. You sat in the dark and something inside you began to harden. A wall was forming around the most tender part of your heart because the pain of keeping it open felt like it would consume you entirely. You whispered that you were done expecting anything good. You told yourself that lowering your expectations was wisdom and that hoping for less would hurt less. But I refused to let that wall finish building. I sent a single moment of tenderness into your night. A memory, a word, a fragment of peace that did not belong to the darkness. And it was enough to keep the door of your heart open by just a crack. That crack is where I've been pouring myself into your life ever since. Today, I am telling you that the wall is coming down. Every stone of self-protection that you stacked with bleeding hands is being dismantled by a love that is stronger than your fear. You do not need those walls anymore. What is coming toward you does not require armor. It requires open arms. The provision heading your way does not need to be defended against disappointment because it carries my signature, and what I sign, I deliver without alteration and without delay. Every moment of faithfulness that you thought went unnoticed was being recorded in a ledger that heaven will never erase. The world forgot your sacrifices instantly. The people you served moved on without a backward glance. But I was there with a pen dipped in eternal ink, writing down every act of love that cost you something real. That ledger is now full, and the return on what was deposited there is about to be released into your life with compound interest that defies every natural law of mathematics. Let me take you deeper now, into the truth about your waiting season, because I know the question that has lived inside your chest for longer than you can remember. I have heard it echo through your spirit in 1,000 different forms, but it always comes back to the same core ache. Why did I have to wait so long? Why did the answer not come when the need was most desperate? Why did it seem like heaven was silent during the exact moments when my voice would have meant everything? I will answer you now, and I need you to receive this with every fiber of your being. The silence was never absence. It was preparation. What I was building for you could not be rushed by any power in heaven or on earth, because it was being constructed with materials that do not exist in the natural realm. I was forging something in the furnace of eternity that required your endurance as part of its foundation. Your patience was not mere punishment. It was one of the primary ingredients in the miracle I was assembling behind the curtain of the invisible. Think of it this way. A farmer does not dig up a seed every morning to check whether it is growing. The digging would destroy the very process it hopes to confirm. And yet that is precisely what the enemy kept encouraging you to do, to examine, to question, to dig up what I had planted and hold it under the harsh light of human logic where it would wither. But you resisted. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not without moments of wavering, but you resisted enough that the seed remained in the ground. And today, the first green shoot is breaking through the surface of your life where everyone, including you, had given up on seeing anything grow. Every sacrifice you ever made in secret, every moment of obedience that no human eye witnessed, was entered into a ledger that the enemy cannot access, cannot alter, and cannot erase. Heaven's accounting system does not operate on the same principles as the world's. In the world, what is unseen is uncounted. In my kingdom, what is unseen is treasured above all else. The prayer you whispered at 3 a.m. is worth more in my economy than 1,000 declarations made for an audience. The meal you skipped so someone else could eat was recorded as a deposit of incomprehensible value. The forgiveness you extended when your flesh was screaming for justice. That single act of surrender shifted spiritual architecture in dimensions you cannot yet perceive. I want you to understand what has been happening beneath the surface of your circumstances. While you looked at your situation and saw stagnation, while you surveyed your life and concluded that nothing was moving, there was a revolution taking place in the invisible realm on your behalf. Angels assigned to your destiny were dismantling obstacles that had been cemented in place for years. Chains that had been wrapped around your provision were being cut link by link. Doors that had been sealed with the enemy's counterfeit authority were being stripped of their locks. You could not see it because I deliberately kept it hidden. Not from cruelty, but from strategy. If the enemy had known what I was building for you in the hidden place, he would have redirected every weapon in his arsenal toward destroying it before completion. So I worked in silence. I moved in the shadows of your pain. I positioned every piece on the chessboard of your destiny, while the enemy was distracted by your tears, convinced that your weeping meant weakness. But your tears were watering the very ground that I was planting your miracle in. Every cry was a contribution to a harvest he never saw coming. There is a record in heaven that bears your name at the top. It is not a list of failures. It is not a catalog of the moments you fell short. It is a testimony of endurance written in the ink of your faithfulness. It documents every morning you chose to rise when staying down would have been easier. It records every time you extended grace to someone who wounded you. It marks every instance you chose my word over the world's noise, even when my word seemed to be asking you to trust the impossible. That document is being unsealed today, and what flows from its pages will reconstruct every area of your life that has been touched by devastation. The droughts are ending. The famines are breaking. The barren seasons that stretched so long, you began to accept them as permanent features of your landscape. They are being dissolved by the rain I am releasing over your existence right now. not a gentle mist, not a light sprinkling that evaporates before it soaks the soil. I am sending a downpour of restoration that will saturate every cracked and dehydrated layer of your life until there is not a single dry place remaining. Right now, in this very moment, if you can sense the weight of what I am saying settling into the deepest part of your spirit, speak this declaration aloud. Say, I receive everything that heaven has been preparing for me in secret. I open my hands, I open my heart, and I welcome the fullness of what the Father has sealed with my name. Let those words leave your mouth and enter the atmosphere as a covenant between your faith and my faithfulness. Something is already responding to that declaration in the invisible realm. Can you sense it? The atmosphere around your life is beginning to vibrate with the frequency of heaven's attention. The principalities that held watch over your drought are retreating from the sound of your own voice, agreeing with my purpose. Every word you speak in alignment with my decree weakens the structures the enemy built around your breakthrough and strengthens the foundations I am laying beneath your feet. There is something I need to show you now, a picture that will unlock the rest of this message with absolute clarity. Imagine a fisherman who has spent the entire night on the water. His muscles burn. Salt has dried into the creases of his skin. The ropes have worn grooves into his palms. He has thrown his net into every corner of the lake he knows, every shadow where the catch has always gathered, every current that has always delivered abundance. But this time, nothing. Every pull of the net brings back water and silence. Nothing but emptiness pressing against him with a weight heavier than any full catch ever carried. That fisherman is you, my beloved. How many times have you cast your efforts into waters that used to produce? How many times have you followed the methods that worked before? The prayers that used to bring peace, the disciplines that once opened doors, the relationships that once carried provision, only to pull back nets so empty that the absence itself felt like a personal verdict against your worth. I watched it happen. I saw the moment when the exhaustion began to settle, not just in your body, but in your belief. You did not stop working, you did not abandon the boat. But something behind your eyes started to dim, that holy flicker of expectation that once burned so fiercely it could be seen from heaven. The world told you that results are proof of effort, and the absence of results is proof of futility. That equation is a lie forged in the workshop of the enemy, specifically to extinguish the fire of faith in hearts like yours. The fisherman who threw his net 100 times and caught nothing was not failing. He was being positioned. Every empty cast moved his boat imperceptibly closer to the exact coordinates where the miracle was waiting. Had he caught fish in his usual spot with his usual method, he never would have been in position to receive what I had gathered in the deep. Your emptiness was not punishment. Your emptiness was navigation. Every disappointment was a divine redirect. Every closed opportunity was a course correction. Every prayer that seemed to bounce off a brass ceiling was actually nudging you 1 degree closer to the place where everything I have stored for you would come rushing into your nets with such force that you would need others to help you carry it. The empty nights were not evidence of my absence. They were evidence of my precision. The fisherman could have abandoned the boat. Nobody would have blamed him. The other fisherman had already gone home. Logic demanded that he quit. Exhaustion begged him to surrender to the evidence of his own experience. And yet, at the very moment when every reasonable voice inside him was screaming to give up, a different voice spoke. Not louder, not with more arguments, just with more authority. And that voice said one thing that changed everything. It said, "Cast your net on the other side. That is my voice speaking over your life right now. Today, not tomorrow. Not in some distant future that you can only squint at through the fog of your current circumstances. Right now. I am saying to you, cast again. Not into the same waters, not with the same strategy, not leaning on the same understanding that has been producing the same emptiness. Cast on the other side. I am directing you to a location your logic has never considered, a method your experience would never endorse, a place that makes no sense to the mind, but makes perfect sense to the spirit that has learned to trust my voice above all others. If you have been walking this journey with heaven, if this channel has been one of the places where you hear my voice reaching toward you, then take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel so that you never miss a single word I send to your spirit. Tap that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what I am releasing in this season is an unbroken flow of messages designed to walk you through the most transformative chapter of your entire life. You were not brought here by accident, and you are not meant to walk the next season alone. Now listen to what happened when that fisherman chose obedience over logic. His arms were trembling. His mind was protesting. Every piece of evidence in his entire lifetime of experience told him that throwing a net into shallow, sunlit water in the middle of the day was a fool's errand. Fish do not gather in those conditions. Every fisherman alive knew that as certain as they knew their own names. But he did not listen to the evidence. He did not consult the patterns. He planted his feet on the deck of that rocking boat, and he chose the voice that carried authority over every voice that carried reason. The rope left his calloused hands. The net sailed through the air and spread across the water like a promised unfurling. And, the moment it sank below the surface, the entire realm beneath that boat erupted. Fish that had not been there a heartbeat ago appeared in numbers so staggering that the mathematics of the natural world could not account for them. They came from depths that the fisherman had never reached. They came from directions the current had never carried them. They came because the same voice that commanded the net to be thrown had already commanded the provision to gather. The net began to strain. The ropes groaned. The weight of what filled those empty threads was so enormous that the fisherman could not hold it alone. He called out across the water to his partners in another boat. They came alongside, and together they hauled with everything they had. And still the net threatened to tear apart. Not because it was weak, but because what I had placed beneath those waters was bigger than any vessel designed by human expectation. The blessing exceeded the capacity. The provision overwhelmed the container. What one night of human effort could not produce, a single moment of divine obedience delivered with such abundance that 2 boats nearly sank under the weight of my generosity. Pay close attention to this. That fisherman did not earn the catch by casting one more time. He received it because he chose to trust a voice that defied everything his senses were reporting. The miracle was not in the net. The miracle was not in the water. The miracle was in the obedience. And that is the exact same miracle I am activating over your life today. You have been looking at empty waters. You have been pulling up empty nets. You have been measuring your future by the evidence of your past and concluding that nothing will ever be different. But I am telling you now, with the full authority of the throne of heaven, the waters beneath your boat are already teeming. The provision is already gathered. The breakthrough is already assembled in the deep, where your eyes cannot reach and your logic cannot access. What has been absent is not absent anymore. What has been delayed is not delayed anymore. The only thing standing between you and the most overwhelming overflow you have ever experienced is a single act of trust. Cast again. Cast on the side I am pointing to. And this time, prepare for the wait. Because what I am about to deposit into your empty net is going to require both arms. It is going to require help. It is going to exceed every expectation you ever held and replace it with something so disproportionately abundant that you will spend the rest of your days telling people what I did on the morning they thought was too late. The sealed vessel I spoke of at the beginning of this message, the one that was prepared before the foundation of the world with your name inscribed upon it, that vessel is being opened right now. Feel it. Something is shifting in the atmosphere around you as these words enter your spirit. A pressure that has been sitting on your chest for months, perhaps years, is beginning to lift. The heaviness that greeted you every morning is losing its grip. The anxiety that kept you awake at night is being pulled away from your mind, like a garment that no longer belongs to you, because it never belonged to you. It was placed on you by an enemy who wanted you to believe that heaviness was your permanent condition. But today, I am stripping it off with my own hands. What is pouring out of that vessel is not ordinary blessing. It is not the kind of provision that merely meets your need and leaves nothing extra. What I stored for you is extravagant supply. It is restoration so thorough that the places in your life where devastation once ruled will become unrecognizable. Where there was debt, I am releasing surplus. Where there was sickness, I am releasing vitality that will make your body feel 10 years younger in your own skin. Where there was broken relationship, I am sending reconciliation, wrapped in such tenderness that the scars of old wounds will become bridges of deeper connection. Where there was confusion about your purpose, I am releasing crystal clarity that will make your next steps feel as certain as the ground beneath your feet. The overflow does not stop at your doorstep. What I pour into your life is designed to flood outward into the lives of the people you carry in your heart. Your children will feel it. Your grandchildren will feel it. The friend who has been crying alone in a room you have never entered will feel the ripple of what I am doing through you today. You are not merely a recipient of this blessing. You are a channel through which my goodness will reach people who thought heaven had lost their address. Your life is about to become living proof that I never abandoned the ones who refused to abandon me. I know I am breaking every cycle of lack that has run through your bloodline. Patterns of poverty that were passed down from generation to generation without anyone understanding their origin are being uprooted from the soil of your family tree today. Financial curses that masqueraded as bad luck or poor timing are being exposed for what they truly are. Spiritual assignments designed to keep your lineage under the heel of insufficiency. But I am dismantling those assignments with absolute finality. What stopped at your parents will not pass to your children. What limited your grandparents will not touch your grandchildren. The generational chain is broken today, and it will stay broken because I am the one who severed it. What you are feeling right now in this moment, that warmth spreading through your chest, that sense of something heavy beginning to release, that quiet stirring of hope in a place you thought hope had permanently vacated. That is the unmistakable presence of heaven leaning into your life. And I want you to know that you are not alone in receiving this word. Right now, across this world, there is a community of believers who carry this same fire, who hold each other up in prayer, and who walk this journey together under the covering of divine purpose. If you feel moved by what the Spirit has placed in your heart today, if you want to stand alongside others who are stepping into their own season of overflow, you can visit our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether you choose to become a member, buy a coffee as a seed of encouragement, or leave a donation as an act of faith, every step you take is a declaration that you believe in the power of this mission. Your presence there is a gift to others who are still finding their way out of the darkness. Now, stay with me, because what I am about to reveal next goes deeper than provision. What is coming is not just about what fills your hands, it is about what fills your spirit. And the transformation I am about to describe will shake the very foundations of how you see yourself and your place in my kingdom. I am dismantling structures in your life that the enemy built in darkness. Structures you did not even know existed. There are invisible chains that were fastened around your potential years ago, some of them placed so subtly that you mistook their weight for the normal heaviness of living. But there is nothing normal about the limitations that have been pressing against your destiny. They were engineered. They were strategic. They were the enemy's carefully crafted architecture designed to keep you operating at a fraction of the capacity I placed inside you. Doors that slammed shut in your face were not random rejections. They were coordinated assaults on your forward motion. The opportunity that vanished at the last moment. The relationship that collapsed just when it seemed stable. The financial breakthrough that evaporated hours before it reached your hands. None of those were coincidences. They were targeted attacks on someone the enemy recognized as dangerous to his kingdom. He did not attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because he could see what I placed inside you. And it terrified him. But pay attention to what I am doing right now. As these words penetrate the atmosphere of your spirit, those chains are snapping, not bending, not loosening, snapping, with the force of a divine authority that no demonic structure can withstand. The invisible walls that have kept your provision on the other side of an uncrossable divide are crumbling to dust. I am not negotiating with the forces that held you back. I am not reasoning with them. I am commanding them to release their grip. And my commands do not come with the option of refusal. The accusations are being silenced today. Every whisper that told you that you were too damaged, too old, too far behind, too broken to receive what I promised. Those voices are being muted by the sheer volume of my love for you. They spoke loudly because they had no competition. But now my voice is thundering over your life. And against that thunder, every lying whisper sounds exactly like what it always was. The desperate noise of a defeated enemy trying to convince you that you are the one who is defeated. I am also exposing every counterfeit that was planted in your path. There were things the enemy positioned to look like my blessing, but were actually traps designed to derail you at the moment of your greatest vulnerability. Relationships that looked like covenant but carried poison. Opportunities that glittered with promise but led to dead ends. Positions that appeared to be promotions but were actually prisons dressed in prestigious clothing. I allowed you to see their true nature before they could fully close around you. And some of them I removed from your life entirely, even though the removal felt like loss. Today, you will begin to see those removals for what they really were. Rescues executed by a God who loved you too fiercely to let you settle for the enemy's cheap counterfeit when the genuine article was already being prepared in your name. Walls that the enemy spent years constructing around your breakthrough are falling in a single day. Not because you found the right strategy. Not because you finally said the right prayer or performed the right spiritual discipline. They are falling because the appointed time has arrived. And when my calendar says now, no wall built by any hand other than mine can remain standing. The rubble of those demolished barriers will become the raw material from which I build the platform that elevates you into your next season. Nothing is wasted. Not even the weapons that were used against you. I am releasing acceleration into your timeline. Things that should have taken years are going to unfold in weeks. Processes that normally require months of waiting are going to resolve in days. The speed at which your circumstances begin to shift will leave you breathless. Not with anxiety, but with AWA. You will look around and see movement everywhere. Doors that had been sealed for decades swinging open without anyone turning the handle. Conversations happening that you did not initiate, but that carry exactly the answer you needed. Resources appearing from sources you never knew existed, directed toward you by hand you cannot see but whose fingerprints are unmistakably mine. If this word has set something on fire inside your spirit, if you know in the deepest part of your soul that today is the turning point you have been waiting for, then this is the moment to become a messenger of this fire. Think of at least 3 people who are carrying the weight of empty nets right now. 3 souls who have almost given up on heaven's promises. Send this message to them today, in your Facebook group, in a direct text message, in your church prayer circle. Do not let them sit in the darkness of that lie one more night. What reached you is never meant to stop with you. You are the bridge between their hopelessness and heaven's answer. Now hear me as I speak over the doors of your life. I know the pain of standing before an entrance that was supposed to welcome you. only to find it barred and bolted from the inside. I watched you knock until your knuckles ached. I saw you wait with such patience that even the angels marveled at your endurance. And I know the specific sting of watching others walk through doors that you believed were promised to you. Seeing them receive with ease what you had been fasting and praying for until your voice was hoarse and your knees were bruised from the floor. But I want you to understand something that will reframe every locked door you have ever encountered. Not a single one of those closures was heaven's verdict against you. Every sealed entrance was my protection. Behind some of those doors were traps so sophisticated that you would not have recognized them until it was far too late. Behind others were paths that looked beautiful for the first few steps, but curved sharply into territory that would have cost you things you cannot afford to lose. Your peace, your purpose, your connection to me. I saw the full trajectory of every road you wanted to travel, and I closed the ones that led away from the life I designed for you with my own hands. The doors I am opening for you now are different. They are not doors that can be found by strategy or forced open by human determination. They are doors that only swing on heavenly hinges, and they respond to only one key: my spoken word over your life. That word has been spoken. The hinges are already moving. What is swinging open before you right now is an entrance into a territory so rich with purpose and provision that the memory of every closed door will dissolve into irrelevance. People who dismissed you are about to witness the reversal. The ones who timed your season of waiting and declared that your story was finished will watch in stunned silence as I write a chapter they never anticipated. Those who measured your value by your visible results, who looked at the empty nets and concluded that you were a failure, will see those same nets overflowing with a catch so abundant that the evidence of my favor upon your life will be undeniable. This is not revenge. I do not operate in the economy of petty vindication. This is revelation. I am showing the world what I have always known about you. The shame that followed you is being peeled away today, like dead skin from a healing wound. Every label that was placed upon you by circumstances, by people who did not understand your journey, by the enemy who capitalized on your lowest moments, those labels are being removed with surgical precision. You are not defined by the season you survived. You are defined by the God who carried you through it. Your identity was never located in your performance. Your identity has always been rooted in your position. And your position is in my hands and my heart at the center of my eternal purpose. I am sharpening your discernment in this new season. The fog that once surrounded your decisions is being burned away by the light of my presence. Where you used to second-guess every choice and agonize over every direction, you will now move with a confidence that does not come from your own wisdom, but from the spirit of clarity I am depositing inside you. You will recognize my voice with such precision that the counterfeits will be instantly obvious. The confusion that the enemy used as his primary weapon against your progress will become powerless, because you will carry within you a compass that always points toward my perfect will. Relationships that I have ordained are being drawn toward you right now. People whose paths were never supposed to intersect with yours in the old season are being repositioned by my hand to arrive in your life at exactly the right moment. These are not random connections. They are divine appointments that I arranged before you were born. Partners in purpose whose strength will complement your weakness. Friends whose loyalty will not waver when the pressure increases. Mentors whose wisdom will open corridors of understanding that would have taken you decades to discover on your own. If the fire of this word is burning inside your chest right now, if you feel something unshakable taking root in the deepest part of your being, then stand on your feet wherever you are and declare this out loud. I resolve to cast my net where heaven directs. I will not be governed by the evidence of empty seasons. I choose the voice of my Creator over the voice of my experience, and I will see the harvest that was planted in my name. Speak it with everything you have. Let the walls hear it. Let the air carry it. Let heaven record it as the turning point of your entire destiny. The speed of what I am doing will stagger you. I am compressing timelines. I am collapsing distances. I am accelerating processes that the natural world insists must take years into moments of sudden completion. Promotions that others spent entire careers positioning themselves for will land in your lap without you submitting a single application. Healings that medical science said would require years of treatment will manifest in your body overnight. Reconciliations that you had written off as permanently impossible will materialize through a single conversation that you did not plan and could not have orchestrated if you tried. This is the season of the suddenly. You will stop measuring progress by the calendar because the calendar cannot keep pace with what I am doing. A week from now, your circumstances will look so fundamentally different from today that you will wonder if you crossed into someone else's life by mistake. But it will be your life. The life I always intended for you. Finally catching up with the blueprint I drew before time existed. The restoration I am releasing is not partial. I do not patch. I do not repair with tape and hope it holds. I rebuild from the foundation with materials that cannot corrode, cannot decay, and cannot be stolen by any hand that does not bear my authority. What the locust consumed over 10 years, I will replace in a single season with fruit so abundant that you will need to construct new storehouses just to hold what I deliver. What the enemy dismantled over decades, I will reconstruct in such a way that the rebuilt version is infinitely stronger than the original. Every financial gap is being closed. Debts that have haunted your sleep are being dissolved by provision that arrives from directions you never anticipated. Accounts that have been empty are about to register deposits that have no human explanation. Bills that have piled up with threatening urgency are about to be met by resources that flow so freely, you will actually have to learn a new relationship with abundance because scarcity was the only language you knew. I am teaching you the vocabulary of overflow, and the first lesson is this. You do not need to earn what I freely give. You only need to receive it with hands that have finally stopped trying to produce what only I can provide. I am restoring your joy, not the fragile happiness that depends on circumstances remaining favorable. I am giving you the deep, unshakable, bone-level joy that persists even when the surface of your life is turbulent. It is the joy that comes from knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing with absolute certainty that the God who controls every molecule in the universe has specifically chosen to lavish his attention on your life. This joy will confuse the people around you. They will not understand how you can smile in situations that would break lesser spirits. They will not comprehend the peace in your eyes when the storm is still visible on the horizon. But you will know, and that knowing will be your fortress. What is flowing into your life right now cannot be measured by natural instruments. The provision I am releasing operates on a frequency that the natural world does not possess the equipment to detect, but your spirit can feel it. There is a stirring in the atmosphere around you that has nothing to do with weather and everything to do with the movement of heaven positioning itself over your household. Angels that were assigned to your destiny before your first heartbeat are receiving fresh orders in this very second. They are clearing roads. They are dismantling barricades. They are silencing voices that have no authority to speak over someone who carries my seal upon their life. I am rewriting the narrative of your lineage. The stories that were told about your family. The patterns that everyone accepted as simply the way things are for people like us. Those stories are being overwritten by the pen of the Almighty. Poverty is not your inheritance. Sickness is not your family crest. Broken relationship is not the emblem stitched into your bloodline. I am the one who writes the story. And the chapter I am authoring right now bears no resemblance to the chapters that came before. Your children and your children's children will look back at this season and point to it as the moment everything shifted, the moment the curse broke, the moment the blessing began. Now hear me with the fullest attention your spirit can muster. because what I am about to speak over you is the charge that heaven has been building toward since the first word of this message left my throne. Everything before this moment was preparation. Everything after this moment will be execution. This is the hinge upon which your entire next season turns. I am commissioning you today, not as someone who has proven themselves worthy by the world's standards, not as someone who has assembled the perfect resume of spiritual accomplishments. I am commissioning you as someone who stayed. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You stayed when the silence was deafening and the evidence was damning, and every reasonable analysis of your situation pointed toward the conclusion that heaven had moved on without you. You stayed. And that single stubborn refusal to release my hand is the qualification that matters most in my kingdom. The fisherman who caught nothing all night did not receive the miracle because he was the most skilled. He received it because he was the most obedient. He took his exhaustion, his doubt, his empty net, and his bruised pride, and he laid all of it at the feet of a voice that told him to do the impossible. That is exactly what you have done by arriving at this moment. You took everything that should have disqualified you and laid it before me, and I turned it into your greatest credential. From this day forward, you will walk with a different authority, not the borrowed confidence that evaporates when circumstances change, not the performance-based assurance that collapses the moment you make a mistake. I am installing inside your spirit an unshakable awareness of who you are, not who you were, not who the enemy said you would always be, but who I created you to be from the beginning. You are mine. That is the only identity that matters. Every other label is temporary. Every other title is secondary. The fact that the creator of the universe chose to engrave your name into the story of eternity is the only credential you will ever need. The chaos that once defined your inner world is being replaced by divine order. Where anxiety used to sit in the driver's seat of your decisions, peace will now take the wheel. Where doubt used to narrate every choice with a running commentary of worst-case scenarios, clarity will speak with the calm precision of someone who knows exactly where they are going. You will not be tossed by every wind of opinion. You will not be shaken by every shift in circumstance. You will stand on solid ground because the ground beneath your feet is my word, and my word does not move. I am giving you eyes to see what has always been invisible. The spiritual landscape that operates behind the curtain of the physical world is about to become visible to you in ways that will transform how you navigate every area of your life. You will sense danger before it arrives. You will recognize opportunity before it fully reveals itself. You will discern the difference between my voice and every imitation with such accuracy that the enemy's primary weapon of confusion will become permanently obsolete in your life. Rise now and declare this over your existence with the full weight of heaven's authority behind your words. I am who the Creator says I am. I carry what the Almighty has placed inside me. I walk in the authority of a commission that no power in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth can revoke. My identity is sealed. My purpose is activated. My nets will never be empty again. Let those words thunder from your mouth. Let every principality and power within earshot hear the declaration of a child of God who has finally accepted the fullness of their inheritance. Everything I have spoken over you in this message is converging into a single, irreversible decree. The sealed vessel that was prepared before time began has been fully opened. The provision that was hidden in the deep has risen to the level where your nets can reach it. The chains that held your breakthrough at a distance have been shattered beyond repair. The doors that were locked have swung wide on hinges that no enemy possesses the strength to close. The acceleration has been released. The restoration has been activated. The identity that was always yours has been spoken over you with the authority of the living God. There is nothing remaining between you and the fullness of what I have prepared. Every obstacle has been addressed. Every accusation has been silenced. Every counterfeit has been exposed and removed. The path that stretches before you right now is clear, and it leads directly into the territory where your sealed vessel has been waiting for the sound of your approaching footsteps. I am not asking you to walk this path in your own strength. I am not sending you forward with nothing but a motivational speech and a pat on the back. I am going before you. My angels have already swept the road. My provision has already been deposited at every rest stop along the route. My presence will be so thick around you that even the atmosphere will feel different as you move. You will walk through places that once terrified you and feel nothing but peace. You will face situations that once paralyzed you and respond with a calm authority that surprises even yourself. Because it will not be you responding. It will be me, living inside you, speaking through you, moving through you with a power that the gates of darkness cannot withstand. Now receive the final decree of heaven over your life. This is the word that cannot be reversed, cannot be diluted, and cannot be intercepted by any force in any realm. From my throne I declare over you, every empty net in your life is filled from this day forward. Every sealed door is permanently opened. Every chain that held you in the season of waiting is broken beyond all possibility of repair. The drought that defined your yesterdays has no authority over your tomorrows. What I plant in your life from this moment forward will produce a harvest so staggering that the generations who come after you will still be gathering its fruit long after your earthly journey has reached its final shore. I decree provision without limit, purpose without confusion, relationships without betrayal, health without the shadow of the enemy's interference, and a peace so deep that the fiercest storm will never reach it. This decree carries the full authority of heaven. It is sealed with the blood of the covenant, and it is done. Before we close in prayer, take a breath. Let the weight of everything I have spoken settle into the deepest chambers of your heart. This is your recap and your marching orders. Today, the sealed vessel was opened over your life. Today, the empty nets were filled with the catch that heaven has been gathering in the deep. Today, every chain was broken. Every closed door was flung wide, and the acceleration of heaven was released into your timeline. You are commissioned. You are equipped. You are authorized to walk into the most abundant season your life has ever known. Now take this fire and spread it. Think of 2 people in your life who are still staring at empty water, still believing the lie that their season of harvest will never come. Send this message directly to them right now in your WhatsApp group or in a text message. Let them hear what you heard today. Be the bridge between their despair and heaven's declaration. If this community has been a place where you encounter the voice of heaven, if this message has marked a turning point in your spirit, I invite you one more time to visit us through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether you become a member of our community, buy a coffee as a seed of faith, or leave a donation to support this mission of reaching souls still trapped in the fog of the enemy's lies, your presence strengthens every person who walks through that door after you. Your seed becomes light in someone else's darkness. And heaven keeps a record of every act of generosity that flows from a heart set on fire by my word. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, tap that button now and turn on all notifications. The messages that are coming in this season are building upon one another like bricks in a divine structure. And missing even one could mean missing the key that unlocks the next door in your journey. Subscribe today and walk this road with me. Heavenly Father, I come before your throne right now, carrying every soul who has received this word today. I ask you to seal what has been spoken. Let every decree land with permanent authority in the lives of those who open their hearts to this message. Let the sealed vessels be opened with power that shakes the ground beneath their feet. Let the empty nets overflow until their arms cannot hold what you provide. Let every chain remain broken. Let every door remain opened. Let every counterfeit be permanently exposed and removed. Father, pour out your provision with the extravagance that only your heart can produce. Let their storehouses be filled to overflowing. Let their families be touched by the ripple of this word. Let their children and their grandchildren walk in the inheritance that is being activated today. Guard them with your angels. Surround them with your presence. And let them never forget that the God who opened the sealed vessel is the same God who will walk with them through every step of what comes next. In the mighty and holy name of Jesus Christ, it is finished. Amen.